Hi, my name is Ajay and I will be going over some basic Excel functionality. Specifically, I'll be covering some numeric Excel functions, sum, average, count, min, and max. Before I get started, I want to go over the data that I would be using. Um, let's assume that this data represents my expenses for a year. Um, the expenses are broken down into categories from restaurants to coffee, and those are on the rows. And then the expenses are also broken down into months from January to December. The broken down actual dollar number is in each of these cells right here. So for example, in January, I spent $200 on restaurants and I spent $500 on groceries and so forth. Before I begin, I do want to cover something that's very basic in Excel, which is how to add two numbers together using a formula. So I want to add the number 2000 and the number 25 and get the result in this cell. I would use equals this. I would refer to this number or the location I13, use the plus sign, refer to J13, press enter, and I have 2025. So I could very well use this technique to sum up certain numbers. For example, I could sum up all the expenses for December by using this formula technique. But when the number of rows gets large, this technique is not very efficient and it's also error prone. So I'm going to show you how I would use the sum function to add numbers in a range. So let's start with the first question. What I want to know is how much I spent in November, which would mean that I want to add up all the numbers in this column labeled as November. And the way I do that is by doing an equals sum, open parentheses, and selecting the range. I go to the first cell in my range, which is L2. I click it, I press the shift button, go to the last cell in my range and click that, which is L9, and that's how you select the range L2 to L9 and the parentheses, enter. There you go. I just added up all the numbers together from L2 to L9 and got the result in L10. The next question we want to answer is, what is my average monthly grocery bill? Now I come to row 3 and it shows me the monthly grocery expenses right here in this row. I want to take the average of all these numbers. So I will use the average function. Average, and then go to the first cell in my range, click that, go to the last cell in my range, press the shift button, then click. Now we see we got B3 to M3. I can press enter and that shows me my average monthly grocery bill. Now let's use the count function to count how many categories do I have. We come here, use equals count, select this range, close the parentheses, there you go. So we have 8 categories. Let's just take a look. B2 to B9. B2 to B9. We count the number of cells that are populated with actual numbers, and that is 8. That tells us there are 8 categories. Moving on, we want to find the lowest dollar amount that I donated in a given month. So we go to the charity row. We want to find the lowest dollar amount in this row. So we go here, press equals, min, click on the first cell in the range, shift, click on the last cell in the range, B8 to M8, close parentheses, enter. There you go. So $17 that was in February was the lowest amount that I donated in a given month. The max function is very similar. What we want to know is what is the maximum I spent on coffee in a given month. So coffee is on row 9. We go to N9 equals max, select the range, enter. So we find out that $30 was the maximum amount that I spent on coffee in a given month, and that month was actually January. So that's all for this video. Thank you very much for your time. Hope you have a great day.